Hello everybody, this is Jeremy Telthan. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Wave's brand new Sync VX. This is their new time alignment tool for vocals and other instruments. And this has the ability to do time alignment, pitch alignment, or pitch syncing, and the ability to actually have multiple groups in one little package. Now, if you look at my screen, you'll see that right now I have one reference track. It's going to be Tyler Hook lead, and all of the other ones are following. Well, one thing that makes Sync VX very, very interesting is you're actually able to have up to 4 separate references. And you can just click here and make something a reference or sync everything to that reference. This means that you can have all of your vocal time alignment and pitch syncing in one session using the ARA plugin. Now, an ARA plugin is basically not a normal plugin, where if I go down to Waves, you're going to see Sync VX, but this is going to basically do nothing, really. And where it's really, really useful is you select the audio waveform itself, the clip, the whatever you want to call it, and you add the extension. Now, I personally own Melodyne, Repitch, Revoice Pro, RipLink, which is for RipDaw. I have the free version of Spectral Layers for Nuendo users, Sync VX, Synthesizer V Studio, and VocAlign Pro. For those of you who are wondering, is this better than VocAlign Pro? Yes, this is significantly better than VocAlign Pro. Now, there are a lot of options and a lot of powerful tools that you get when using this, but one of my favorite things is just how easy it is to treat this like a Revoice Pro 5 session, where you have all of your audio takes and doubles and everything in one session, and you're able to edit and modify them as it goes. So I have all the vocals right here. I'm going to bypass this completely, and we're going to listen to how it sounds right now.
It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane. That's the way I like it. It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane. That's the way I like it. But I like it other ways too.
Now, you will hear that one of these vocals is indeed kind of slower.
It's just me, myself, and
I believe it's this one right here.
It's just me, myself, and it's just me, myself, and Mary
Jane. That's the way I like.
It's very slow, right? So if we turn on Sync VX,
it's just me, myself, and Mary Jane. It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane. That's the way I like it.
Let's keep that one vocal in.
It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane.
Bypass.
It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane. That's the way I like it.
And you're hearing vocal clicks and stuff. That's part of the recording. It's not an artifact. But once we have this in here, you see that we have different time warping algorithms, Warp B and Warp A. They're going to sound different, and you can actually see that they're warping it differently as well.
It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane.
Warp B definitely has artifacts, while Warp A,
it's just me, myself, and Mary Jane.
Very natural. You're also able to decide how much time correction you want.
It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane. That's the way I like it. But I like it other ways.
And then you can also have pitch tracking. If you have it right here, you're able to do pitch tracking, and you can do absolute pitch.
It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane.
Or you can do absolute while you ignore vibrato. Personally, I don't really like using the pitch correction because it is just following whatever reference you have this set to. Right now, they're all set to reference 1. But let's say I had reference 2, have some other tracks following that. Everything will just sync to that. It's great when you have harmonies and doubles, but not a gang vocal like this. Now, you're able to also have denoising and a little overlay option right here, so you can see the original waveform on all the other tracks, and I do feel that that is very important to have. I'm going to take denoising off, though, because I don't really need it. Let's just see what happens if we take this off and listen to it one more time. I really want you to hear how this really does affect the track.
It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane. That's the way.
So it's nice and slow, right? If we solo up all the other vocals.
It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane. That's the way I like it.
Sounds okay, but everything's kind of splattered everywhere, right? Bringing it back in, letting it resync and scan, because I did do some changes here and there, especially turning off denoising. And before I forget, I do want to note that you are able to actually do some type of transposition and formant shifting right here. You just click on this little arrow, and picking the fine button or clicking on it will allow you to have more fine-tuned transposition and formant. I believe it changes it into cents. So here we go. Off.
It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane. That's the way I like it.
And on.
It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane. That's the way I like it.
Very good.
But I like it other ways too. I like to roll too much for me so I could share it with you. Have us coughing up our lungs like a terrible flu. It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane. That's the way I like it.
And it's really that easy. But if we dive a little bit deeper, we'll see that Waves has given us some options that really makes this more like a Revoice Pro instead of a VocAlign. VocAlign Pro only allows you to actually select a track. Let's do this one. We'll do VocAlign Pro. I have the latest version, by the way. And the first thing I will say is, for some reason, SynchroArts doesn't seem to have the ability for this to really scale with your session. I am on a 4K screen on my first monitor on my laptop, and then my two screens here that you see are 1080p. And every time I open up anything that has to do with VocAlign, Revoice, it does this weird misscaling thing, and you can't fix that in VocAlign. You can fix it in Revoice, but you can't do it here. Now, Revoice, the way it works is you capture a guide, you select a preset that you want, and then you capture the dub. Then it will automatically time align. If you want to add more tracks, you just have to add more, but it will never give you more options. It's always going to be capture for your guide and dub. That's it. There's no other options. You can't control anything. But I will say that VocAlign has much more accurate response as far as detecting the vocal. But SynchroArts has been doing this for many years. And the way that Waves has mitigated that little issue is you have the ability to select and bypass selection. So whatever is bypassed will actually no longer be a part of the detection. And you'll see that it'll actually change whatever's going on. Another cool thing is you have these little flags that you can have. It's called sync markers. When you have one and you create one, you're able to use these little flags to determine how much time alignment you're going to allow. And then you can actually go ahead and stretch the timing of everything. Once again, you use the flags to reel in how much you're actually doing. And this is a great way of fine-tuning what you're doing. So if we solo this up.
It's just me, myself, and
Obviously, that was really crazy. Bypassing it.
it's just me, myself, and Mary.
Really, really nice. So what I like to do is use the bypass selections to actually fix some sections that have a little bit of some errors, right? Let's check it out. I think we have a couple here. One right here. So these two sections right here needed a little bit of bypassing. So we're going to stop removing this one. It's going to resync, and we're going to see what it actually did right here. So originally it sounded like this.
With you, have us coughing up our lungs like a terrible flu. With you, have us.
So this vocal
With you, have us cough.
kind of had this weird effect to it. So I'm going to select this and bypass selection. Now you see it's fixed itself
With you, have us coughing.
and it sounds great. Same thing as right here. The lower vocal had a little bit of an issue,
With you, have us coughing.
right? So we remove the bypass. We take a listen,
With you, have us coughing up our lungs. With you, have us.
right? So to mitigate that, what I've done is just highlighted a small section and bypass the selection. You also want to make sure that you're not getting any really big crossover like breaths or noises because it can cause clicking. But another option is using a sync marker to fix this. So let's see how this sounds.
With you, have us coughing up our lungs like a terrible flu.
Sounds great. The next one is, I believe, right here, where we did use a sync marker. Let me scroll over. Right here, we have two little options. This vocal and this vocal,
Terrible flu. It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane.
right? So we'll start off with this one. We'll remove the bypass, and we'll also get rid of this sync marker. Let's take a listen.
Terrible flu. It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane. Terrible flu. It's just me, myself, and
So what that is how I mentioned that Revoice Pro and VocAlign have a much better vocal detection. That's just an error in the detection. So since we have the overlay, we can actually see where the breath is that's causing this vocal to be stretched out. And again, as you see, I am bypassing the little crossover right here. So I'm going to bypass selection. And there we go.
Flu. It's just me, myself, and Mary.
Now there's a lower vocal. This one has a little bit of a timing
Flu.
mismatch.
It's just me, myself, and Mary. Flu. It's just.
So it's very subtle. It's not really something that I would say is even necessary, but I'm seeing that it's not starting at the right spot.
Flu. It's just me, my.
So what I want to do, create a sync marker and move it. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to use the flag to limit the amount of content that's actually going to be synced, right? So something like this.
Flu. It's just me, myself.
And then we can fine tune it like this. The only thing that I think is a little bit annoying is you have to redo the flags every time.
Flu. It's just me, myself, and Mary.
But it's doing a pretty good job. If we bypass it,
Flu. It's just me, myself.
it's just a little bit more. We could also utilize the bypass selection, which is a little bit easier because it's not as finicky, and it does a similar thing.
Flu. It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane.
So you have those two options. And if we take this out of solo,
Flu. It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane. That's the.
sounds amazing. Bypassing,
Flu. It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane.
you can hear it. Some vocals are off time, some vocals are slow, some vocals are fast, some vocals are doing this and that. Listen to
Flu.
it.
It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane.
Like you're hearing vocals everywhere. Turning it on,
Flu. It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane. That's the way I like it.
very tight. Now we can pitch match this,
Flu. It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane. That's the way I like it.
but I don't think that's going to sound great in the track.
Flu. It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane. That's the way I like it.
No. Taking it off though,
Flu. It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane. That's the way I like it.
sounds great.
Flu. It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane. That's
Significantly better than that, and it's very natural. And since it's ARA, I just save this, close it out, and I forget it exists. If I want to save this and not have to worry about this extension anymore, I can just highlight these tracks, right click and bounce selection, and it will print the effect. Boom. And if I Command Z, you can see how it's been modified. See? Nice and tight timing.
really mean. It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane. That's the way I like it. But I like it other ways too. I like to roll too much for me so I can share it with you. Have us coughing up our lungs like a terrible flu. It's just me, myself, and Mary Jane. That's the way I like it. But I like it other ways too. I like to roll too much for me so I can share it with you. Have us coughing up our lungs.
Cool. Sounds great. I'm going to Command Z one more time because I am going to do some edits to this, so I don't want to commit to this just yet. But that's it. I kind of did a full on just how does this thing work, right? That's it for this video. I will leave a link down below. If you don't like Waves plugins, which a lot of people don't, and that's totally fine, you can totally bypass this. But for $130 right now on sale, and for like $230 when it's not on sale, this is still cheaper than VocAlign Pro, the newest version that I have. I think I spent like $350 on it, and I think I spent $500 and something on Revoice Pro 5. This is very comparable to Revoice Pro. Not as powerful and not as flexible, but very, very good. And it definitely is better than VocAlign. I would say VocAlign would be like here. Then there would be this, and then there would be Revoice just slightly above it. Melodyne would fit somewhere in between this and Revoice because Melodyne does amazing pitch correction, but its time alignment is kind of meh. Producers use it because they don't care if something sounds very fake, but for someone who does lots of orchestral tracks, who does lots of post-production and surround sound and stuff like that, this is very important for me. And I've actually used Revoice Pro on a couple of commercials. One that I did for a Super Bowl commercial for some like hand sanitizer ad with my little brother a few years ago before he passed away. And all of the audio was unusable because the talent moved the microphones, and for some reason we got some weird like electrical shock into the power lines, and it shorted out the inputs of the preamp of the console that we were using to record because it was connected to power. So the wireless lavs that we had weren't usable. The console's inputs were fried. So we had to redub it using like my interface. I think it was like an Apollo going into an RE20 and just redubbing it all, and then using Revoice 4 to fix it up. If I had this back then, it might be done pretty quickly and easily, but I don't think it would be quite as good. This is very good, but not as good as Revoice. But if you have VocAlign, this hands down beats it. It might not detect things as well, but that's why you have this option. And then the ability to have different groupings, different reference tracks. This is amazing. Zero latency. It just syncs up to your DAW. You close it and you forget it exists. Anyway, I'll have the links down below. No affiliate links. Waves does not care who I am. Personally, I'm not a huge Waves fan because of their whoop and their yearly upgrade prices. But this is a very good plugin, and it's very worth your time to check out. Grab a demo. Anyway, that's it for this video. This is Jeremy Mateo in the DAW. I'll see you guys later. Bye.